In this video, we are going to go over the units and display settings in Kubla Cubed. I have opened an example file to explain this, and it is important to understand that all the settings we are describing in this video are set to your computer and not saved to your project files. If your project files are opened on a different computer, these settings will not necessarily be the same. This occasionally confuses users that are sharing files. However, if you understand which settings are saved to your project and which to the computer, this is not going to be a problem, and it will allow you to set your personal preferences as to how to view your projects without changing it for other users. So the first setting we will look at is the units. To access these, I click on Measure, then Display Units. Now this form controls the units the software displays. This is perhaps the most important software setting. However, it is very rarely used because the software will set these values based on the region settings of the computer when you first launch. If you're in a country that uses metric units, it will be set to metric. If you're in a country that uses imperial units, it will be set accordingly. So this is an important form, but one that is very rarely needed by a typical user. The next setting we will look at is the earthworks quantities to display in this panel. We control this by clicking on Measure and then Quantities. In this control, we tick the items we want to have displayed. Again, most users will be happy with the default values, but you may wish to adjust these to see less or more information about the earthworks quantities. The next setting we will look at is the background color for the software. We access this by clicking on Display and then Panels. With this control, we can set the background color. This often needs to be adjusted if you are finding content difficult to see against the default background color, and you can adjust this to select a color which gives a better contrast. For instance, if I set this white, I can see the contour lines more clearly. Now the last setting we will look at are the options for the cursor. When we move the cursor over the terrain, you will see that it displays the values at the cursor location. You can see that it shows X, Y, ZE and ZP. So ZE is the existing level and ZP is the proposed level. Now we can adjust the values that are displayed by the cursor by clicking on Measure, then Cursor, and in this menu you can see all of the options including X, Y, Z existing, Z proposed and Cut and Fill. You can choose to turn on whichever of these you want to see. For example, usually you will need to turn on the Cut and Fill. And you can see now the cursor will display also the cut or fill at the mouse position. So that was a brief overview of the units and display settings in Kubla Cubed. Thank you for watching.